On a day like this one, in the thick of the morning rush hour, with everyone rushing, trying to beat the traffic and get to work, guys, you sit back and recall the beautiful game is back. Ladies and gentlemen, football is back. My name is Webb. Welcome to the hotspot. Now, when football is back on a day like this, there are two things that happen. Of course, the lovers of the game, the football purists are excited. That is, people like me are excited because, man, the boredom of being there with no football to look forward to is so bad. So people like me are excited, but the other group of people who are so excited and smiling from ear to ear should be the Panthers. Those of you who want to place a stake and make some money off the games that are being played, guys, it's here on the hotspot that you will be getting to know which games you can go on and try to place a stake on. Some advice for you if you do love betting. I'll be giving you advice. I know some of us don't bet, but some do. Where we are all the same community of people. I will be giving you tips on how to handle that. But guys, excitement as football does return. Now the preseason is starting today for Manchester United, and of course the 12th of July is the day, in case you don't know. And United are taking on Leeds United. That game will be live at 6 p.m. I will be giving you a watch along of that one. But guys, those are the rest of the games that will follow in quick succession. On the 19th, we play Lyon. We've got Arsenal. We've got Wrexham. We've got Real Madrid. We've got Borussia Dortmund, Lens, and finally Atletico Bilbao. Good games, aren't they? But you sit here and look back at the games and you're thinking, we are going to be playing this, starting the preseason with this squad. And that's where you might be deflated a bit and you're feeling, okay, look at the players. I think there are only about 6 first team players on that list that was summoned, or the squad that was summoned by Eric Ten Hag. Not for his liking, but of course because a certain section of the players are still off season. They are still resting. They are expected to return, should be this week for training. But also, some will join later in the US for that tour of the US, but also partly because some of the signings are not yet done for Man United. But speaking of the signings that are not yet done, excited as I am and as we all should be that football is back, United is going to be starting this preseason without core departments sorted. I think if it's an orchestra, it's going to play without a guitarist and a pianist, if that's the word. So what's an orchestra without a guitarist and someone on the piano? I don't think that would be a good orchestra because and I'm talking a striker, and that's the guitarist, who is the most important part of the orchestra. We are starting this preseason without a striker. If you look at the squad that was named by Eric Ten Hag, if you try to look at the forwards, Jadon Sancho is not a striker. Yes, he's a forward. He's not a number 9. Ahmad is not a number 9. Noam Emaran, I think, is not a number 9. For Son, I think Shotia, I think, is the only striker in there. You don't think he will even be on any of the match day squads come starting the 14th of August. So it shows you that yes, we are excited that football is back, but how we might want to limit our excitement because perhaps we don't have again a clear picture of how we are supposed to look, because we don't have a striker, neither do we have a goalkeeper. Again, just to take you back to that squad, if you look at the squad, the goalkeeper, the best closest to a goalkeeper who can start a game for United is Tom Hinton. But Nathan Bishop and Matej Kova are all cover goalkeepers. So, again, should we be so excited about the action on the pitch? Perhaps not. And that's why I say, if you're a person who loves betting, don't be too excited and go and place your money on Man United beating Leeds, because we keep beating them for the most part of the recent meetings we've had. I think it would be a huge risk. They can actually beat and obliterate us in this friendly. It's a friendly game. I actually don't advise people to bet on friendly games, because these are games where coaches are trying out things. They are never about winning. So for me, that's what I would advise for. But we're going back to the team. I mean, that's the beautiful. I mean, look back and try to reflect on the last time you watched United play the FA Cup final. That was the last game. Brilliant performance. Giving Man City a good run for their money. But we of course, the season ends and we go into the summer transfer, for which many of us, I think, should have been excited. But of course, knowing that the takeover was on total speed, we got our reservations about what this summer transfer window would give us. And to be honest, for me, for if I'm to be honest, I feel like this summer transfer window is performing a lot better than I expected. I didn't think would be linked to so many potential signings. This many potential signings in at this time, because of the takeover and how I thought that would affect our process. So for me, whereas we only confirmed one player signed, and I positively know, I'm strongly assured that we'll sign Onana, we'll sign a striker, Rasmus Højlund, and we could actually sign a holding midfield, a backup for Casemiro. For me, that would be more than successful. I mean, when the last time we made so many signings like that in the summer? So for me, I think, yes, the summer transfer window has surprised me in terms of how it's going for United. We could even sign up to 5 players. So it has surprised and excited me. It's just that the timelines are not looking so good. Well, they are not the worst, but they are not looking so good, because you want to start your preseason with at least 90% of your main squad there. But if you're starting with players like Shorty as your striker, Jadon Sancho, and name them, Ahmad, then you're starting with a midfield that, of course, Mason Mount is there, but you don't have your backup for Casemiro. You don't have a goalkeeper. You're thinking, okay, at what point will they join in? And if you look at how it's going now, how the talk is going, you feel we are still, we still have got a lot to do, because after signing Onana, we've gone then to go into the bidding for Atalanta. You don't think we are going to match their 50 million or 60 million pounds valuation of Rasmus Højlund. So you're thinking again that would take us more time. So the pace at which, whereas we know the players we want and we know we will sign most of them, the pace at which things are going is not exciting. But, I mean, when the preseason starts, when we reach this point, there is no turning back. We've started, and we might have to work with what we have. When we get a goalkeeper, where we do hope then a striker will come through, and the right striker for the manager right now seems to be Rasmus Højlund. But that's where we are. For me, it's the most important bit, that football is back, and we are here to follow it, excited about everything that this season is about to offer. Now, of course, there has been a lot again of speculation about what exactly is bound to happen when the season starts. Are we going to see players leave? Are we going to see new signings coming thick and fast? But the new signings, I've spoken about that. But when it comes to players leaving, it's becoming, I think, almost clear or obvious that we might not lose so many players in this summer. I think we might be able to sell 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 players, but we might not count so much on cleaning. I think the cleanup will be, a subtle process. I think the cleanup will be gradual. I think it will be a gradual process, and that should be worrying. But I think if you're a United supporter, there's more to worry about right now than that, because you want to worry about the Glazers and the risk, the likeliness of them staying around. We start the season with them around. I think that would be the worst thing for the mental health of any pure Man United supporter. I think it would be so discouraging. I wonder those who will go to Old Trafford to watch games, where they will get the guts to cheer on the team playing against Wolves at Old Trafford. When in the stands you're seeing the Glazers seated in their VIP area, the owners, whatever space, whatever you call it. I think it will be hard for people to pick themselves up and get to cheer the team. So yeah, but nonetheless, that doesn't take away the excitement. I think when football returns, I think it is life again. I mean, the nature of football, the way this game was designed, is that it's beyond just watching and cheering for your team. It's passion. It touches you. It gets to the bone of your heart. And to be honest, I get jittery when we are about to start the season. I get the jitters, and more so for a time like this one, for the fixtures like this that mean we are playing, I think, 2 days or 3 days into the season. That's when we play our first game, because if United's first game is going to be against Wolves at Old Trafford, and that game is going to come on the 14th. Should be the 14th of August. Now, I think about that again, and I'm thinking that is days into the season, because the season is starting on the 11th of August, and I'm thinking that for me, if the other teams like Manchester City and Arsenal have won their games, again, that's for me pressure, given the uncertainty when it comes to when it comes to our squad and how we will look when the season starts, because things are out of sorts. So Arsenal will have played against Nottingham Forest on the 12th, and you're thinking, okay, if Arsenal wins their game against Nottingham, and we are coming later, 2 days later, how difficult will it be for Manchester United, for me as a fan, to contain, I think, the expectation. So yeah, that's the beauty about it. But of course, as when the season starts, you get over it, and you pick up yourself, you pick the rhythm, and get to enjoy the season. But guys, football is returning. We are here. There's no turning back. You can assess the squad. I think I can have a glimpse of what our squad will look like. I think in goal we'll have Andrew Onana, we'll have Lisandro Martinez, and Rafael Varane in the center back. Then on the right, Wan Bissaka. On the left, we've got to have Luke Shaw. We've got to have Casemiro playing behind Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount. And then we'll have Marcus Rashford. We'll have Rasmus Højlund, and either Jadon Sancho or Anthony Dos Santos. Those I think are the players that I think will be there against Wolves for me. But the worst that could happen, and again, it's good to think about all this. The worst that could happen is us going to play Wolves, hosting Wolves without Rasmus Højlund, with the same striker, and I think that is the worst scenario. The worst scenario would be United starting the season on the 14th without Rasmus Højlund, because given how Atalanta is valuing him, United is never going to match up their 60 million euros or 70 million euro valuation of Højlund. I don't think they will. Now, in the event that Atalanta plays stubborn, what's the backup? I don't think we've got a clear backup of which striker we want to go for. I don't think. Maybe if he's there, he's not known to most of us, because the other strikers that United has been linked with are even more expensive than Rasmus Højlund. We are talking forwards like Musa Diaby. We are talking players like Rando Kolomwani. And of course, we know the Hurricane and Victor Osimhen of this world. They are I think of all the strikers that are there, United has been linked with. I think Rasmus Højlund, with whom we are advanced in terms of talks, is the cheapest option. So, if we fail on Højlund, then what? Where do we go? Do we start with what we ended the last season with? Think about it. So again, that's for me a tricky situation, because we don't seem to have a clear backup for Rasmus Højlund in the event that Atalanta, who are known for overpricing players like they did when it comes to Amad Diallo in 2019, selling him to us at 30 million pounds. We are the same club, the same people they dealt with. Why on earth would we think they would want to sell Rasmus Højlund the way we want him, and how desperate we are for a striker, for a fee less than that? Yet some of us, people like me, feel like Højlund is actually a 30 million pounds player. That's what he's worth, at least in terms of cash. The add-ons might go high because he's a young player and he has got potential to become world class, but the rest should come in add-ons. But if Atalanta are not willing to take a deal that sees more of the money paid in add-ons, then what do we do? Do we start without a striker? Do we fold? Or what do we do? Remember Mason Greenwood as well. His situation is not clear. The worst would be, okay, if we find to get a striker, because the reality is there are not so many good strikers out there. If we have Mason Greenwood who can score some goals, maybe that would be a fair, and I'm saying fair, I'm using fair intentionally because it's not right, but to be a fair way to start the season, if Mason Greenwood is back, but also even if he was allowed to return to United, we can't bank on his fitness. So it's a tricky situation, this striking situation we are in. I wonder why we have spent a significant part of our window focusing on all these other departments, Mason Mount and disorganizing the goalkeeping department, before we sort the biggest problem we've got. That's the striking problem. I don't get it. I don't know how we were able to spend 55 million on signing Mason Mount before we get a striker. I can never understand why that was done. But I mean, I think I'm not supposed to understand everything the manager does. That's why he's the manager, and mine is to support. But in my opinion, I think we should have spent the significant part of this window sorting our biggest problem. That's the striking problem. But we haven't even touched it. And for me, that's worrying. The longer it goes, the more difficult it will become, the higher the prices of these players will go, because it means we will be more desperate, because it's glaring. Everyone knows United is desperate for a striker. So the longer we take without bidding for one, and we keep dragging, the long game plays against us, because then we will reach a point when we make desperate buys, and desperate buys are always rip-offs. You know, desperate for something, I know you want it and you must have it, I will overprice it, and you somehow have to look for the money to buy it. So that's the situation we are pushing ourselves into. I feel like our priorities have not been right, at least and I don't think they will change anyway. They are just not, in terms of the summer window, I think we've got our priorities wrong. But in Ten Hag we trust. Well, the season is back, we'll be excited, but let's hope the striking situation will be sorted. What we know, of course, is that for Andre Onana, it's today. We know a third bid will be put in for Onana, but by tomorrow it will be done. I think, and United, when we do go to the US, the tour of US, I think we will be there. But Rasmus Højlund, the striker, I'm not sure when you want to play against Arsenal, against Real Madrid, against Borussia Dortmund with your core team, at least with the 90% of your core team there. Those are the games you want to try and test them, because again, that is the biggest competition we have. That we've got to compare ourselves with. So it's a tight, tricky situation, but it's a good day, guys. Football is back. My name is Webb. Well, the thick of the morning rush hour is on, and of course we are counting down to 6 p.m. When that game kicks off between Man United playing against Leeds United. Not so much. I think the only thing for me to look out for is, first of all, seeing the boys and how they look. Who is fat and who isn't. I want to see Jadon Sancho and see how his weight is. Probably he's not overweight. If he was, I don't think he would be in that squad. But also, most importantly for me, I want to focus on the defensive partnership of Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane, and see how fit they are. They were out on the same day. I think they've got enough time to recover. I do hope we start the season with them fully fit, so that we don't have to again stress on getting a backup for them. That's for me the biggest situation, because if they are not fit, look sure then we'll have to come into centre back. Teles goes on the left, and then he plays with Victor Lindelof, and then Wan-Bissaka. That's not a solid backline, to be honest. That won't be a solid backline. But anyhow, let's keep the faith. Football is back. My name is Webb. We're here to enjoy all of it. Subscribe if you haven't. Catch you later.